So I don't really have any interest in Christmas or the New Year, New Year's Eve. They leave me kind of cold, and I would ideally prefer to be in a part of the world that does not pay any attention to these things. But I'm working on that. Tune in next year, please. So the solstice I would treat the way a lot of people do treat New Year's Eve. I would briefly review the past year and see what kind of work I've done on myself, what kind of progress I may have made, hopefully, and any blocks that there may seem to be presented, or what seems to be that I'd like to address in the coming year, and hopefully make some progress on shifting or working through. So last night, the 21st, I did a journey, did some work on myself, and today, this evening, I'll do a journey. I was supposed to have an ayahuasca ceremony on the 20th and 21st, and the first one was cancelled at the last minute, and the second one I was really too unwell. I'm still recovering, haven't come back from Bali. I've got a few viruses on the go arriving back in Ireland, just to fuel my rage and hatred at this country and the burning need to get out of here. So I just didn't have the energy to go to ayahuasca. So I would have I got some guidance, and I would have a few areas that I'll work on consciously and set aside time week to week to work on into the coming year. But it's just a reminder, I suppose, that, you know, when people are on some sort of spiritual path, or when people start to work with me, they're aiming to get to, in a sense, an end point. Now, I know we all know, and we all do regurgitate the line that, like, oh, it's continuous, it's a journey, a continuous journey, it's never ending. But on deeper levels, we're all kind of hoping to get to a place where it's just fucking easier, and there's more of a flow, we're less under pressure. But on some level, we're also hoping to get to a place where we don't have to do any work. And the reason we want to get to a point where we don't have to do any work is because we're so unhappy. So if you're feeling while listening to this that you want to get to a point where life is just easy, it's all good, and I don't have to go to retreats, or I don't have to do this and that, there's a reason you're thinking like that. It's because there's pain underneath that. On some level, you're really hoping to get out of that pain. What can I do to escape the pain? Now, when we're in less pain, or very little pain, and we have tools, and we can see the purpose and progress of working through pain, there's less need to escape. But a few people I've worked with of late have had those eureka moments where they realise, there's layers of this. And I would describe it like, I think it's an American expression, which is layer cake. I think we call them sponge cakes in Europe, in Ireland, but it's those layers that when we work through a layer, we feel better. We expand a little bit. There's a bit more awareness. We're a bit more grounded in who we are. It's not that we know more. I don't really care about what we know. It's that we're a bit more at peace. And then life is good. It might be for an hour, it might be for a few days or a few weeks. And then we outgrow that. That's what being a human is. It's continuous growth. You know, if you become a master carpenter or master mechanic, you might want to then go and become an engineer, or you might get bored. You might want, eventually, this life or the next. You know, it's like running 5 miles. People want to run 6 miles or 7 miles or a marathon. So we want to go a bit further. We want to know more, because there's so much more of who we are. There's more peace to be had. There's more health, more freedom, more groundedness, more awareness, more in tune, more in harmony with life, with the earth, with who we are, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. So we're moved to keep going, we're moved to do a little bit more. And as we've come through that layer of peace, undoubtedly another layer of work is presented. And as that comes in, we start to get uncomfortable, we start to focus in, be in tune with that frequency passing through us. And again, the mind will kick up. We'll try to escape because we've just been in this peaceful time. I want to go back to the peaceful time. So the ego is wanting to hang on. Fuck, if I could just hang on to the peace that I had yesterday, everything will be okay. But if we can let go and allow the discomfort to come in, allow it to pass through, it's quite appropriate that I'm in St. Mullins and I'm walking along beside a river. I don't know the name of the river, and there's been a lot of rain here, so the river's very full. Ultimately, if you want to see it like we are the banks of the river, and we're watching and allowing that stream, the fish and the rubbish and whatever wonderful stuff is flowing past us. But if we try to stop and go, there's too much water, what does this mean? What is this fish? We're going to flood, we're going to slow everything down. Whereas if we can be present and allow it to burst its banks if it needs to do that, allow it to run dry if it needs to do that, allow it to increase or decrease or whatever's going to happen, witness it, be present with it, honour it. There's nothing right or wrong. There's no right amount of water, right amount of consciousness or incorrect amount. It just is. Be present, witness it. But it's these ongoing layers that this is the work. It is continuous. And we in the West have really been brainwashed and conditioned to think that it's an arrival point. If we could get to this place that we are always happy or always at peace, I don't buy that. I just don't buy it. Look at the world we live in. Your car is going to break down. People around you are going to get cancer. It's everywhere. People are going to get sick. Checks are going to bounce. You might lose your job. You might get sick of the fucking people in your job and you want to go work somewhere else. You want to branch out. You want to travel. Oh, I have to go through security in airports, which I fucking hate. You know, we've got to do all these things that can be challenging. That's life. So it helps to be able to know how to, or have the tools of how to navigate through these experiences, to be as untouched, unmolested as possible. Good luck with that if you're flying into America, the TSA. So for 2020, for me, a big part of I feel and what I've been guided to, or what guidance has come through, is about me being seen more in 2020. It's putting myself out there, being more authentic, trying to be more authentic, trying to be clearer in these videos and when I speak, the stuff I write on Instagram or on the website, but also, which is challenging for those around me, to not play the role. You know, someone struggling, we go, oh, isn't it terrible? I'm trying not to do that anymore. So there's these old relationships, obviously, with people that I often describe it. It's like threading the needle, because we're trying to find the middle ground, to not be too harsh on people, but also to honour how we are. I'm not really honouring myself by talking shit with people and fueling their victimhood, but I'm also not doing any good for them or for me to be too harsh and blunt and hit them over the head with shadow work. So yeah, it's that middle ground, but that also is about me honouring me and being clear, being honest, being seen, allowing them to see me. So that's kind of it. The end of a year. The work is always there, and the work is ongoing. It's ongoing just to keep our ego in check, to see what we're investing in, who I think I am, who I want to be, who I want to be perceived as. All those layers of shite. To try to continually move out of the mind. So it's continual check to keep the ego in check, to see what layers I'm attaching to, or that I want to be, how I want to be perceived, if I want to be liked, if I want to be loved, if I want something else. And often there are layers that we can really, when you feel the pain, when you identify something, you think, oh fuck, that feels uncomfortable, I hope no one knows this one. These little twinges of like when we want to be acknowledged or loved or liked or whatever it may be. And it's not as sweeping as by everyone, but it might be by one person or a certain world or people in work, people in our area, whatever. Oh! But there's loads of that stuff, layers and layers, always continually being presented. But yeah, thanks for listening. That's pretty much all I have to say. Enjoy the festive hellish season. Eat too much. Don't drink too much, because it lowers your frequency. And let's see what happens in the new year. Be well.